Patreon Q&A number 59. I want to thank all 72 of my ultra powerful, super cool patrons. Guys, you know I love you so much, and thank you for continuing to support me the way that you are. It really helps me out a lot, and I can't thank you enough. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be some spoilers in these questions and answers, so tread carefully. ShadowBatX asks, "Hey Shonen, hope everything is going well." Yeah, everything's fine. I've just been feeling pretty under the weather this whole week. But I hope everything's going well with you too, ShadowBat. I have an interesting question. If Saitama were to fight Boros, released form, and then Meteoric Burst form, Orochi final form, and Awaken Garou at the same time, will they be able to push him to where he has to get serious, or could they potentially defeat him? I'm also giving the big three a buff, I think. They can't accidentally attack each other, meaning that if Saitama misdirects a blast from Orochi, which coincidentally leads in the same direction as Garou, it won't hurt him. Okay, so friendly fire's off for this match. That's fine. Even at this point, I still don't think it's enough to push Saitama that far. And they're definitely not going to defeat him. Not even close. I honestly think, like, if he just did one serious punch, he'd probably take them all out at the same time. I mean, Orochi for sure, considering that he couldn't even take a normal punch, which self-proclaimed normal punch. And then Awaken Garou probably couldn't take a serious punch. Now, of course, Saitama was holding back against him, so we never really got to see what he was being like serious against him the way that he was with Boros. But also, given that Boros, in the Meteoric Burst form, shooting the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, couldn't even take the force of a serious punch, not even just physical contact, I don't think all three of them working together are going to be able to survive that. Now, could they, like, overwhelm him to the point of like how Meteoric Burst and Release Boros was, where they're like knocking him all over the place and getting numerous shots on him? Like even Awaken Garou was, like after he did the abandonment, he was wrecking Saitama, and he even shocked him with his performance. But it wasn't like putting him in danger or anything like that. Like even after that, he like, you know, he's like, okay, that's pretty cool, but now I'm gonna get serious. And then he does a serious table flip, and after that, he's kind of just playing with Awaken Garou. Like, it's just absurd how powerful Saitama is. And even if all three of these powerhouses, who are all the strongest villains we have ever seen so far, not counting God, because we don't know anything about him yet, even at this point, I still don't think it's going to be enough to push Saitama to trying seriously. Like, the most serious thing he's going to do is, like, a serious punch, or, like, maybe a serious headbutt, or something like that. Will we see Saitama get to that point in the series? I certainly hope so. I hope Blast push him further than these guys, but I think God is probably going to be the one to do that. Last question, well, maybe more of a statement. What if God-level threat Mosquito is actually Blast, who was cursed and transformed into one? Or even better, God, who is trying to communicate with Saitama, but sees him as an annoying bug. Ha 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 ha! I know you said not to take this seriously, but as the one above all, you Shonen, oh, thank you, ShadowBat, who published this type of One Punch Man vid, I have to take it seriously. I need to know if this is a possibility. Thanks for the entertaining video and take care. So the Blast thing, that's maybe not so much the case, but the God theory is actually something that's been in the community for a while. And I was going to put that in the video, but I kind of forgot / didn't think about to put it in because the video was already pushing levels of absurdity, and I didn't want to stretch it out longer than what it had to be because I was already unsure about the reception of that video, but I'm glad it did all right and you guys didn't completely hate me for it. But I did want to talk about that God theory because, like I said, it is prevalent. People do think that that's a possibility, and it kind of is. I mean, of course, like I said, we don't want to put too much weight on the Mosquito, but I don't want to completely write it off because the Mosquito is a part of the webcomic, and given that one has said that he's figured out the beginning and the end of the story and he's just filling in the middle, and given that it's, you know, it begins with Vaccine Man and he has power similar to that of Homeless Emperor and the whole connection, I talk about this in plenty of videos, it's possible that God was just messing with, you know, Saitama with the Mosquito thing. You know, given that the Mosquito was so absurdly powerful, and if we want to look more into it than it just being a gag scene, then that might be giving us some insight into how powerful God is. I mean, if he can just manifest something like that that's faster than Saitama and durable enough to take his earnest strikes, then that would be awesome. And it would be funny to connect all the dots and we just see the flashbacks and it's like, remember that Mosquito? Hey, that was me. Chance asks, hey Shonen, do you think we will get more info on Saitama's family, like parents or past friends? What do you think? So at this point, I really wouldn't be surprised if we never find out anything about Saitama's family or past or anything like that. Simply because it's never been talked about, never even hinted at. I don't even think Saitama has ever said the words family in the entire series, and no one has ever asked about it, at least as far as I know. So this might be because one just wants it to be that way. He just wants Saitama to be mysterious, and there's no other history or light shed on anything like that. It's kind of like Saitama just worked super hard to become the strongest being ever. He kind of came out of nowhere, and that's it. Just hard work got him to where he was. And this might be relating to one's own personal life. Like maybe he has a similar story to Saitama where one probably doesn't have any family. I know I can relate to it. I don't have any family myself. I draw parallels to Saitama there at least, but I'm not as powerful as him. But I try to work as hard as him as well. But the only real insight we get into Saitama's past, or kind of looking at his family life, is like in the 200 yen bonus chapter when we see him when he's 12 years old. So at least he was going to school. And it seems like he had his own room, right? So he was at some kind of house, because he was like laying in his room with the Mob Psycho 1 million shirt, watching TV. And then the bully stole 200 yen from him, so he got money somehow. I assume that his guardians gave it to him. And I say guardians because it's possible that he doesn't even have, like, living parents. Maybe they were killed by monsters, because that seems the kind of part of the course in this world. So maybe he's like an orphan or something. That's a possibility. And then, like, the other insight we get into his past was in an interview with one, when he says that Saitama's job before, you know, he was, like, looking around when he ran into Crablante, he was working at a convenience store. So either he got that job just going out and looking for it, or maybe his family had something to do with it, possibly. This is just speculation, but that's how little we know about Saitama's history. So at this point, it's really unsure if we ever get any more info on it. Is it necessary? I don't think so. I think it's pretty cool that Saitama is kind of mysterious like that, and he kind of just comes out of nowhere. Or maybe it's just because I draw so many parallels to him myself. But, yeah. Martin G asks, hi, Shonen. Hope you've had a good week so far. It's been alright. I've kind of been feeling under the weather, so I've been trying to push out good content despite of that, but it's been kind of difficult. But I hope that your week has been good as well, Martin. My questions this week are, let's say Hero Hunter Garou magically landed in One Piece World, fought Jinbei, learned Fishman Karate, including the water manipulation aspects, from the encounter, and then was magically sent back to the One Punch Man world. How do all of his fights from the Blue Fire / Magic Man fight on change? So I don't think they would change that much, but it would be very cool if he was able to learn the Fishman Karate and, like you said, the water manipulation of it, because it even goes so far as to where, like, he can manipulate the water in his opponent's bodies, and he can, like, manipulate the water in the atmosphere, and I just don't think it would really change that much, like, against his opponents, like, especially if we're starting from the beginning. He just it wrecked most of his opponents up until Watchdog Man, with just pure skill. Like, it didn't really matter if he could manipulate the water or not. And also, like, as far as I know, none of these fights have really taken place even near, like, a body of water. At least not that I can remember. So, like, then I could throw that hypothetical into the situation where, like, oh, well, then he could just pull them over to the water and then maybe even take them in there. And then use that to his advantage because, you know, the Fishman Karate, like, becomes way more powerful underwater. I don't know if he would be able to swim better, but I'm sure that it comes with the territory of him learning it, and Jinbei would have, worked it into him. But so far, I can't see this really benefiting him all that much. Now, Watchdog Man is definitely the fight that needs the most improvement. But given that he'd be able to manipulate those things, and given that there doesn't seem to be any body of water nearby that fight, I just don't think it would have changed that much. Because he still needs to hit Watchdog Man in order for him to start manipulating the water in his body, which could be to his advantage, but still, Watchdog Man at that point was just way too much for him. So, Orochi, you know what, actually, I think, right, Royal Ripper and Bug God, that fight was close to a body of water, right? It was, like, near that lake. So maybe that would have changed. maybe he would have pulled Bug God and Royal Ripper towards the water, and then he would have used that to his advantage. But then again, you know, Sludge Jellyfish still had Terrio, and that was really what did him in when he was distracted by that. But then it's like, what is Sludge Jellyfish? Is he sludge, or is he more water-based? Because if he was, then he could annihilate Sludge Jellyfish using some Fishman karate techniques, and maybe that would change the tide of him going against Terrio. I don't know how this would have benefited him against Orochi or Overgrown Rover, too, because there's no water, and it really remains to be seen if there's even enough water inside of Overgrown Rover and Orochi for it to benefit him, and then their fire abilities are counteracting that. But it's something to think about for sure. And then your second question is, I know it's impossible to tell, but do you think that Goketsu was able to tell that Saitama is strong like Orochi, Boros, and Carnage Kabuto were able to before the fight started? So this is interesting, and yeah, it is difficult to say for sure, but I don't think Goketsu was quite on that level. If we're like comparing him to Bang, which is, I guess, is the best approximate comparison to make, more or less, Bang didn't really have a good understanding of Saitama until he saw his feats of power, as were these other guys kind of just observed Saitama and could sense his power. So given that, and we're just comparing him, like I said, to Bang, I don't think he probably could have guessed it. And also, Goketsu's not quite going into like that fringe above dragon territory. Well, not Carnage Kabuto, but that was more so his inherent intelligence that was given to him by Dr. Genius. But Orochi and Boros, they're definitive above dragons, and I think that level of power probably comes with a better understanding of quantifying the power of Saitama before even seeing him do anything. Wolfpup asks, howdy Shonen, my question is, have you watched Seven Deadly Sins? What are your thoughts on Escanor, the Lion's Sin of Pride? So I haven't watched Seven Deadly Sins, but the only thing, coincidentally, I have seen are Escanor and his feats of power. Actually, the videos that you sent me, I've seen those before because Escanor was getting so much hype, especially like last year. Pretty sure it was last year when his fight with Estarossa was made into the anime. So I checked it out and I thought it was pretty cool. I like Escanor. I think he's a really cool character. I don't know too much about him other than what's on the surface, but let's go into more of what you're saying, because you said, I already watched all 3 seasons but have not read the manga. Likewise, I haven't even watched all 3 seasons. I oddly know what happens in like the final arc because I was keeping up with my friends on the One Punch Man podcast. They follow Seven Deadly Sins, so I was kind of like following what they were following at the time, just skimming like the chapters when they fight the big bad at the end. My favorite character is Escanor because of his strong will. His sacred treasure is the divine axe Rita, or however you say that. Escanor's pride and attitude is such that he never holds hatred in his heart to anyone, even demons, as he does not hold hatred towards those beneath him. He only pities them. My favorite part is when he fights Estarossa and Escanor says, to show my respect to you for getting serious and not holding back, I will do you the courtesy of the same. Translation, I'm about to end this whole man's career. I would place him S-class and could even give Tatsumaki a run for his money. As for his disaster level, I'm going to give him the title of Above Dragon. At his full power, wielding his divine axe Rita, also his ability, the One Ultimate, an extension of Escanor's the One form created by Escanor himself. Afternoon, when the One reaches its limit and begins to fade, Escanor circumvents his Sunshine ability's limits to converting his own life force into magic power in order to not only keep the One active, but to greatly enhance its already invincible power. This technique is Escanor's last resort and a double-edged sword, as using it will greatly increase Escanor's strength, but only at the expense of completely burning out his own life force, which will kill him in the process. So I guess that explains why he like nerfed himself when he was fighting that dude with the bow and arrow. I guess that's what happened, right? But as for his strength, I'm really unsure about it. Now, just given what I've seen, he's definitely dragon at the minimum. Not sure if he's above dragon. Like his Cursed Sun ability, which seems to be like one of his most significant things, that didn't really strike me as like above dragon territory stuff. It definitely didn't seem like it was on the level of what Orochi could do. Now, I could be wrong, and I haven't seen all of his abilities yet. I've only just seen those videos, but the damage of it and like the area of effect, it doesn't really seem like it's like approaching that level. at least to me. I'm not really sure how fast he is or how durable or how strong he is. I mean, he seems to have standard S-class strength at least, but Bob Dragon might be pushing it. I'd have to go more in depth into him, and I'd have to fully understand the power scale of the universe, which I don't. But just taking a glance, it just doesn't seem that way to me, at least. But he's pretty damn powerful, no doubt about that. And my last question: if a ferocious Tony the Tiger ate a monster cell, what disaster level would you give him, considering he's a cat/tiger, fast, strong, and agile, and what do you think Fubuki can finish him off? Arigato! So, yeah, he would be, man. Well, he's like an anthropomorphic tiger, so I guess that adds to his abilities. But a tiger alone, I think, would already be like wolf level, at least in the One Punch Man world, because if a bear is weaker than like a B-class hero, according to the Okami mask, then I guess a tiger is up there with the strength of a bear, right? I'm sure somebody's going to be like, you're an idiot, you don't know. Like, I don't know. I just assume that tigers are up there with bears. I don't know if one is stronger than the other. I know tigers are pretty big, and they're super powerful. They're kind of broken in a way. Same thing with bears and stuff like that. But if he were to eat a monster cell, chose Tony the Tiger, the anthropomorphic being that he is, he would probably go to tiger level, maybe like a high tiger or something like that. It's hard to say if he would be a demon, because it seems like each individual has like their own different way about going about things. It's like saying if like a house cat like Neon became a monster, like would you guess that he would become a cadre in power? Like it's hard to say, but just guessing. Tony the Tiger would probably be like a high tiger if he ate a monster cell, something like that. Just taking a guess. And yeah, I think Fubuki could probably finish him off. She could probably take any tiger level monster regardless of their abilities, and definitely probably the above tigers that exist, and they do exist. One day we'll make a video about the above tiger. I think you guys know who I'm talking about with that one. And then she even showed that she could fight against even low demons like Super S, so I think she could probably take him out. And she can even, take out dragon level espers, which is an underrated feat, but that's a whole different scenario. But thanks again, Wolf Pup, the #1 patron, the one above all. Tygo G asks, what if Metal Knight was evil and realized the only way for world domination is to murder the Caped Baldy and then send an entire army of robots to kill Saitama? Knowing Saitama, he would handle it easily, but what if Metal Knight made a time machine and sent demon-level army to kill Saitama before he awakened his power? That would be game over for Saitama. So, yeah, I think it's very likely that Metal Knight is going to go after Saitama. They will eventually fight because we see that setting up in the webcomic right now. Yeah, because of, Saitama foiling all of his defense systems and breaking those monsters out of his containment things, it led to the Hero Association, just discrediting him and not even liking him anymore. And almost kind of like firing him in a way. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it seems like it's going to go that direction. And this has just pushed all of Metal Knight's attention and anger towards Saitama. So we are for sure going to see that. If he does want world domination, then he's probably going to have to take out Saitama in the process, of course, because that's going to be the main one standing in his way. Now, as for the time machine thing, is Metal Knight capable of producing this kind of technology? Well, we can only speculate. But I think it's not too far out of the realm of possibility, especially for the world of One Punch Man. Crazy things happen all the time. There's a super... with monsters. Friggin' aliens exist. You know, Boros is showing up. That didn't really seem to shock people too much. They were kind of just like, it was like an inconvenience to them. More so than like, oh my god, aliens exist and they're here and they can speak our language and they're super powerful. But, I mean, given that craziness exists, I'm sure Metal Knight can develop some kind of time machine. Now, the rules of the time travel that you're stating here are like Terminator rules, where it's like if you go back, there's only one single timeline, and if you alter the previous time, then it affects the future timeline. And if that were the case, then yes, Metal Knight, Dr. Bafui, would win in this situation. If we were going by Terminator rules, he could go back, take out Saitama, and then that would nullify him becoming all-powerful in the future.